Đang on zo. De, do shi de New York la.
I am also the owner of the bus.
Yeah. Đang on zo New York da chadi shi de do.
아니 젤라치 쳐버려. 먼저 런치 쳐 참선 다니는 식당나 마시 파게 여러 참선 직도. 자리 가서 고티비로 와. 거기 참아 호랑이 남겼다.
로년 이슈비 알레 땅부 총로 대패바 투치나 슈슈체 아니 당아란 수기 개체보 로가랑질라 더 구규 슈에다 공치고 말에 답아도 구류 매질 균예를 봐 자다 든질 하 중샤 딱 가시다만 주체 신고 말아 딱 도중 꾸는랑부터 자다 든질 중샤 랑 아니 얘들이 뒤슈에 뒤에 본다 딘진 올라가 뒤가나서 아주 소소 선에 피르치든 속에 속속에 디 구지슈니 아니 선에 피르치든 속에 송송하다 예 제상 공부만 좀시 그렇게 쉬나 선에 쉬누게 냠대체네 구지슈비니 슈비마 랑 온디 슈에 되와 참로 그 딱바리 시튼주로람다 시엔데 같이 나로지 슈비네 낭부텔라 닝탁반에 투지치나 슈에니 슈누지다니 학바도 맞을때 그 탑수가 참매 탑수지
먼저 the lunch break. 딱 먼저 뉴욕 조대. 네.
I love shrimp. Give me 2, 3, 4.
네. 정말로 샬라츠시샤. 먼저 뉴욕 저야기 제디치 다키말 런치 브레이크 제가 뉴욕 도디어. 한국의 유나이티드 네션 기준대래대 워싱턴 DC인데 대바 방진에 먼저대 맨해튼 라타리 원다 캔들라이트 비주얼 요래 대차이 보고 쉬쉬 망고에도 먼저들 차에도 생게 상물로 네 바상길라기 먼저 주미 곱색이 안 남기도 여기 피야 어도다니 캡슐체 다게 지소기베 소난게 돌아 벤제 상게 도바쇼 전주바도 다니 캡슐체 다게 지소기베 소난게 돌아 벤제 상게 도바쇼 전주바도 다니 캡슐체 다게 지소기베 소난게 돌아 벤제 상게 도바쇼 the Washington DC. 당시 좀 무슨 세이 개고 아니 어쨌든 당시 좀 무슨 세이라 그래서 Washington DC ne desawada pachayani the UN the headquarters in Palestine 사정 장마소니다라 딱과 메트로폴리탄 제다 이층에 딱과 배가 유해버렸는지 관서라 아니데 시다 사자페 장마 냐낭샤 아니 관서데 신데 디사도 계시 장마소니 관서 신데 피게서데 관서데 샬라 다 쳐바든 배야고 핀낭샤 네, 관수 미망 관수 샬라든지 상마 제진낭샤 그제나 신데다 네, 꼭다 찹시다 생기 volunteer 챌린지 빼 망고도 다 상마로 셈슈레도 생게데 시로나 이번망세 제라스스 everybody is doing their part 네. 다 샬라 상마 제지도도 생게 샬라 제진낭도 다 문제들 the decision that
제고들 말이야. 야마 라가 바이크 좀 스스로 키르다.
와쇼 찬주 셈조를 보세 마게 바남 개교세 개와냠파 메파야 공내 공도 배와쇼 어제다 워싱턴 DC기 미망시 대타리 페레 파주 상마 로가 랑젤라 기데 다리 벼가 상마 대화쇼 대화쇼
엠바쇼
Lobga Rangzen
Gyalo
Lobga Rangzen Gyalo
Gyalo
Lobga Rangzen Gyalo
Gyalo
Vechi Tapo
Remi
Jama Bene
Adushe
Vechi Tapo
Remi
Jama Bene
Adushe
Vechi Tapo
Remi
Jama Bene
Adushe Lase Geshala Tojana Kadinchi
맞아 디스미도 한다나 그 샬라도 트레디션이 그 감정이 먼저 디스니 미 용부에서는 본데도 나 벌써 기지 요거치원에 요요체 먼저 탑도 저스도다 드라이 그래서 우리 하나사야 요요체 그러면 샬라 먼저 패다
네, 먼저 샬라 이제 배 차지 낭샤. 샬라 차지 야고 낭샤 디시기 근데 강촌에 먼저 윤결은 샬라 참고 차지. 먼저 고슈샤 먼저라. 네, 세로나. 토제나 가정제 토제나. 먼저 디시 미망소 샬라 슈가 또 저거 파 찬스거라 차게. 네, 근데 세로나. 먼저 차지 배 야고 낭샤 토제나. 네. 배워서 매도 네 매도 자가 해대샤 네 배워 사제 가와 가산네 대강선이 유엔데 대기 그다 Candlelight Vigil 조대 여기 타임스 스퀘어 대 먼저 워싱턴 DC 버지니아 아니 메릴랜드 먼저 배워서 강선인데 배관수 샬라 먼저 보슈샤 아니 샬라 슈 아니 여기 차대 out Tibet belongs to Tibetan Tibet belongs to Tibetan out guilty of genocide Tibetan let the media in Tibet let the media in Tibet let the media in Tibet Tibet belongs to Tibetan out China is guilty guilty of genocide Tibet now Tibet belongs to Tibetan long live the Dalai Lama long live the Dalai Lama long live the pension Lama release the pension Lama now release the political prisoner now release the pension Lama now the Dalai Lama long live the pension Lama Tibet belongs to Tibetan Tibet out China is guilty of genocide China is guilty of genocide Tibet belongs to Tibetan guilty of genocide free Tibet now free Tibet now human rights in Tibet human rights in Tibet Tibet for Tibetans Tibet for Tibetans out China is guilty of genocide China is guilty of genocide China out of Tibet now China out of Tibet now Tibet belongs to Tibetan Tibet belongs to Tibetan China is guilty release the political prisoners now human rights in Tibet language rights in Tibet
religious rights in Tibet
Tibet belongs to Tibetan Tibet belongs to Tibetan China is guilty Guilty of genocide. China is guilty. Guilty of genocide. Free Tibet now. Free Tibet now. Out, out, out. Out, out, out. Human rights. Release the pension lama now. Release the pension lama now. China lies, people dies. Human rights in Tibet.
China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now.
China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now.
Tibet belongs to Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to Tibetans!
Tibet belongs
China is guilty! Guilty of genocide!
Guilty of genocide.
Tibet belongs to Tibetans! To Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to Tibetans. Thank you.
Tibet now!
Thank you.
China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now.
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet. Free Tibet. China out of Tibet now. China out of Tibet now. Tibet belongs to Tibetans. Tibet belongs to Tibetans. Free Tibet now. Free Tibet now. Human rights in Tibet. Human rights in Tibet. Free Tibet now. Free Tibet now. Human rights in Tibet. Human rights in Tibet. China is guilty. Guilty of genocide. China is guilty.
Guilty of genocide!
Guilty of genocide.
Free Tibet now!
Free Tibet now.
Free Tibet now!
Free Tibet now.
Tibet belongs to Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to Tibetans.
China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now.
China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now.
Human rights in Tibet!
Human rights in Tibet.
Human rights in Tibet!
Human rights in Tibet.
China, China, China!
Out, out, out.
China, China, China!
Out, out, out.
China is guilty!
China is guilty.
Guilty of genocide!
Guilty of genocide.
China is guilty!
China is guilty.
Guilty of genocide!
Guilty of genocide.
Tibet belongs to Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to Tibetans.
Tibet belongs to Tibetans!
Tibet belongs to Tibetans.
China out of
Thank you. Thank you.
China out of Tibet now!
Thank you. Yeah. Free Tibet now. Out, out. China is guilty. Guilty of genocide. Tibet belongs to Tibetans. Tibet belongs to Tibetans. Free Tibet now. Free Tibet now. Free Tibet now. Free Tibet now. China is guilty. Guilty of genocide. China is guilty. Guilty of genocide. China out of Tibet now. China out of Tibet now. Tibet belongs to Tibetans. Tibet belongs to Tibetans.
Human rights in Tibet!
Human rights in Tibet. Now. Free Tibet now. Free Tibet now. Free Tibet now. China lies, people dies. China lies, people dies. Tibet belongs to Tibetan. Tibet belongs to Tibetan. Human rights in Tibet. Human rights in Tibet. Long live the Dalai Lama. Long live the Dalai Lama. Raise the pension Lama now. Release the pension Lama now. Free Tibet now. Free Tibet now. China is guilty. Guilty of genocide. China out of Tibet now. China out of Tibet now. Out, out, out. Out, out, out. Free Tibet now. Free Tibet now. China lies, people die. China lies, people die. China out of Tibet now. China out of Tibet now. China goes to Tibetan. China lies, people die. Dalam desha ko. Amen. Aja digla. Pa gyulu pa jesa mindo. No. You must turn it back.
My deepest honor to invite family of Lobga Rangzen to step forward and share a few words with us tonight.
Good evening. My name is Solemn Children, and Lobga Rangzen was my uncle. His name was Lobga, but we know, loved, and remember him as Lobga Rangzen. He was born in the Bhod Gyalo in occupied Tibet. After escaping into exile, he dedicated his life to the cause of Tibet. He organized protests like marches, walks, educational sessions, and car rallies, and knocked on the doors of those in power, lobbied elected officials, mobilized our community, and never stopped fighting for Tibet's independence. For my uncle, Tibet was not a cause, it was his life's purpose. He lived for Tibet every single day.
là đi gặp nó
And in
lăng nó
the
đi
end,
cái nào cũng
he gave his life for Tibet.
chỉ đó
On July
âm là
2nd,
sụp nghe lăng quá
my uncle walked to the United Nations dressed in traditional Tibetan clothing and carrying a Tibetan national flag. He planted that flag firmly and raised the words, "Free Tibet" and "China out of Tibet," even when his body was engulfed in flames. Through his final act, my uncle awakened something powerful. He reminded Tibetans everywhere that we share one homeland, one history, and one responsibility. And his message to the Chinese government was clear that we have not forgotten who we are or our land, our language, our faith, and our history. And over 70 years of occupation and repression have not broken the Tibetan spirit. For more than 7 decades, China has waged a relentless campaign to erase Tibet as a nation. For more than 1.5 million Tibetans have died under occupation. Thousands of monasteries have been destroyed. Over 1 million Tibetan children have been separated from their families and placed in colonial boarding schools and designed to strip away their language, culture, and identity. Tibetans are imprisoned for peaceful expression. Religious freedom is tightly controlled. Nomads have been forcibly removed from their ancestral land, and Tibetan language is being systematically replaced, and an entire generation are being pressured to abandon who they are. Yet, despite decades of repression, Tibetans have refused to surrender. And to the people of the world, I want to say this clearly: do not look away. Do not look away and silence yourself about Tibet. For too long, Tibetans have suffered while the world remained silent. 171 Tibetans have self-immolated, crying out for freedom and begging the world to witness what is happening inside Tibet. Their sacrifices were not acts to be forgotten. These are the highest level of non-violent political protest that appeal for justice, dignity, and survival of our nation. And to my Tibetan brothers and sisters, we now carry our responsibility. Let us continue to stand together to protect our identity and remember the words of martyrs, and continue to struggle for the cause they gave their lives to, and to bring back His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama back to Potala Palace in a free and independent Tibet. Bhod Gyalo!
Bhod Gyalo!
Bhod Gyalo!
Rangzen Gyalo!
Malapa mental and Zolan Cato Pona Chadas of the other. He was so sick and they were to Rosa, Tambuchi, Uruk in Demeta, Maja Roseki, Mebushi. The Asian the power conquer, Tedem, Kunda, Dori, and then I will link it in the top of the Gojita. Tejalo! Peru Tejalo! Peru Tejalo! Paolo Cajalo! Paolo Cajalo!
I would like now to invite Tashi Pamo, who share a deeply meaningful bond with Paolo Garanzela. I humbly request her to come forward and read his final testimony for us.
Paolo Rangzen's final testimony and appeal before his ultimate sacrifice. This is translated in English. Quote, what I want to say is that Communist China's policies and activities in Tibet are targeted at completely destroying the Tibetan people. I have nothing to say towards the Tibetan people inside Tibet. They have been working sincerely to preserve our spoken language, religion, and culture, and revive all that has declined. Their efforts are very noteworthy. Therefore, I want to thank them. I don't have anything else to say to them. But I want to share my opinion to those of us in exile. If we don't do anything for the struggle of our people, we'll get nothing. I want to say that those of us in exile, we need to work harder. We are very grateful to His Holiness the Dalai Lama for giving us democracy, which he handed to us without us having to make any effort. Even though we said that we do not want it, His Holiness the Dalai Lama granted us standard-worthy democracy. His Holiness's gift of democracy is not for us to have internal disunity, but to continue the struggle of the Tibetan people and Tibet as a nation in the hope that there will be advancement. In particular, His Holiness has said in the past that those of us living in exile, those of us living in the US, it is shameful to become complacent in exile simply after owning a house and a car. You are all the spokespersons of Tibetan people inside Tibet, and therefore you should work and continue the struggle for the Tibetan people. His Holiness won't be able to say more than that, as he's a Buddha who works for unity and harmony of all people, irrespective of color, religion, and world peace. But we're not Buddha, we're living beings. Today, what I have to say is that the Chinese communists have chopped us Tibetans, all irrespective of whether we belong to Dode, Dome, or Uzang. We're all Tibetans. Therefore, we should work for the Tibetan nation. We should work for the people of Tibet. Today, when we say that we do not have human rights, that we do not have freedom of speech, that we do not have the freedom to display a portrait of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, if we examine why we do not have these freedoms, it is because we lost our independence of Tibet. That is why from today onwards, whether it is the Tibetan government, the Tibetan parliament, or the people, it is important that we should all be united and work for the struggle of Tibetan nation and Tibetan people. Therefore, from today onwards, without arguing about our province or religious denominations, we should think of ourselves as Tibetans. I am Tibetan. I am a Tibetan. Some of us say that we do not have independence. It's not that we do not have independence. We have independence, but the independence is lost. We have to get it back. Therefore, we Tibetans in exile must unite and continue the struggle for the independence of Tibet. I want to appeal with folded hands our exile community to work towards this. Secondly, today, if I undertake a major action on account of that example, in the next few days, His Holiness the Dalai Lama's 91st birthday is coming up. Its celebration, as well as Tibetan cultural performances, are to safeguard our culture. These have health benefits and also greatly benefit our younger generation. So my undertaking and action should not cause any disturbances to the celebration of His Holiness the Dalai Lama's birthday. Please celebrate His Holiness the Dalai Lama's birthday in the grandest way possible. Likewise, those who are performing songs and dances should continue to do so. They should not stop them. They should not mourn. What they need to do, in addition to considering that one is a Tibetan, one should see What can be done for the Tibetan people and nation? It is important to think in this way. Therefore, I appeal all of you to work even harder today. If I engage in an alarming activism, it's not that I do not have food, clothes, or out of depression. I do it for the Tibetan nation. Since I'm doing it for the cause of Tibet nation, whatever is necessary to be done for the cause of the Tibet nation must all be continued. I don't want you to mourn for me. Instead, there should be a continuation of my hope and appeal. Please consider my appeal. Whatever we say we do not have, what's the reason for that? The source of all this is because we don't have independence. Because we lost our independence. If we regain independence, we will have everything. Therefore, what we need is independence. And for that, all of us should continue the struggle. Victory to independence of Tibet. Victory to Tibet. Bhod Gyalo!
Bhod Gyalo!
Bhod Gyalo!
Bhod Gyalo!
Bhod Gyalo!
Bhod Gyalo! Bhod Gyalo!
A powerful effort of devotion has just reached us tonight. Team Prostration for Tibet spent the last 2 days prostrating from Prospect Park, Brooklyn, finishing right here at Times Square in sacred honor of their journey and the memory of our martyrs. Let us join together in showing them our deepest respect. I call them to pay their kata to Lobga Rangzen's portrait. I would like to request Bhod Gyalo, President of TMC, to offer a scarf for them for their contribution. If you want to know more about them, you can go visit their website. It's called www.tibetlearning.com. Please search for that for more information. We are honored to welcome distinguished leaders from our city who have just joined tonight to pay their respect. Please join me in welcoming TLC Commissioner Valdivia, Assistant Commissioner Chan, Junior Lieutenant Agurade, as they step forward to lead our candle and honor the memory and portrait for Lobga Rangzen.
And a very big thank you to the TLC leadership, because Lobga Rangzen, he was an Uber driver, and the TLC leadership, they're standing for their employee. Lobga Rangzen.
Adelina Cruz, representing Queens District 39, Assembly Member Cruz, podium is yours.
Tonight I join you with a heavy heart as we honor the life. I wanted to make sure that I'm honoring her name and pronouncing it correctly so you feel free to correct. Lobga Rangzen. Okay, I did it correct. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel coming here and seeing so many people honoring his sacrifice today. It tugs at your heart because it makes you think of the life that he led, the life that you had to leave behind, and the life that many people of Tibet are still living. I was asked to chant something, and I want you to follow me when I say it. Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! You come to this country in search of opportunity and that freedom that was denied to you in the country that you were born in, and we are going to call it a country no matter what China tries to do or say. That is his sacrifice, that was his ask, and that is how we are going to treat you. I represent Elmhurst, where he called it home, where he worked, where he fought, and we are going to miss him in our neighborhood. And the only thing I ask of you today is to continue to do this. Show up for the people of Tibet. Show up for him. Show up for fighting for a free Tibet. Thank you for the honor of being a part of this beautiful demonstration of love toward his sacrifice into the country that called you Tibetan. You will always be Tibetan. Thank you. May he rest in the peace that was denied to him in the country where he was born. Thank you. Thank you. Free Tibet.
Thank you so much, Assembly Member Catalina Cruz. She represents where I was staying before for another 12 years. I stayed at almost, so thank you. We are deeply privileged to have with us Janubula scholar, founder of TNC, and a tireless voice for Tibetan independence. I invite him to the platform. Janubula.
Sit down.
You must forgive me because I really don't know what he's saying. It's not often I'm struck dumb on me, but it's been a really difficult. Because Lobga, he had many friends in the Tibetan community, but he and I politically, for the sake of Tibetan independence, for activism, we were best buddies. Nearly every day he would come and he'd have some idea, sometimes a bad idea, sometimes a good one. So I mean, it's really hard for me to say very much. You know, the day that he passed away, I get this call from the villa and the police want to see me. They say, who's in charge? And I'm the founder of the Tibetan National Congress, he's the president. So naturally, these two detectives, when we go to the morgue in Bellevue, and they want to know what happened. And I said, officers, I want you to understand that this was not a deranged person. This was not someone who was intoxicated. This was someone who was making a political statement, a statement for Tibetan independence. And I said, the same way we call our organization the Tibetan National Congress, is taken from the American National Congress that declared America's independence and the independence of so many other countries in the world that happened after that. So I'm not going to, I don't want to talk too much about his life, but I just want to say, essentially I'm a writer. So you can check out I've written a number of articles on it. It's on Shadow Tibet, you know, the blog post that I have.
and you can go there. But I just want to read. I don't have the words for it, but there's a great Tibetan poet, a, a young woman living in Australia at the moment, but she was from Amdo, from the Tana grasslands of Amdo. Her name was Sungshuki. And when all these self-immolations took place inside Tibet, decades ago, and over 168 people had died, she wrote this poem called I Will Burn Myself Again and Again. This is from Shuki. It goes like this. Are my grasslands still green? Are my blue lakes still crystal clear? Do my hills and streams still sing their melodious songs? Great gods of Tibet, do you still see them in your vision? Can all the bloody crimes of the world be burned and transformed by the heat of fire? Who is sucking the blood and marrow from my body? Who is erasing the bloody images of my kiss? Who dug up and desecrated my father's grave before my very eyes? Who cut the life force from a mother's tongue? How can I accept and tolerate all this? The body of flesh cannot be lifted by the mind. The pain of the wounded heart cannot be endured anymore. Yesterday, the ancestral land of my dream, destroyed by an army of bandits. Today, my precious mother made shamefully naked before my eyes. Tomorrow, my children's brains and bones savagely scattered about. I cannot submit to this anymore. From now on, aim the bullets of the many thousand guns only at me. Inflict all the most painful beatings and tortures only on me. Furthermore, direct all your persecution and tyranny only on me. I offer you the full measure of my life forever, and I assume full responsibility for this commitment. From today, please treasure the custom and heritage of my lineage. Take care of the purity of my land and environment. Respect the life force of my mother tongue. Give freedom to all my humble brothers and sisters. This is the last testament written with my blood. Because of necessity, it is my goal to burn myself forever. So let me accomplish this. All my brothers and sisters, young and old, living in misery and sorrow, all people throughout the world who have freedom and peace, and to you tyrants of violence, oppression, and torture. What I want is lasting peace and freedom. What I am searching for is an existence of equality and caring. Until I accomplish this, I will burn myself again and again. Sungshuki, 2005. Thank you very much. Again, the Sungshuki is I'm 내년에 개빼면서 개버져 그래서 오스트레일리아 슈거 프랑스 좀디 맞아 표현하는 미세 먹고 주류 그게 좀 이 세상으로 그러면 넘버 좀 예하다 페이스북 카페에 자면 넘어가 팬디 세상 디 민 가서 나 양내 양도 파트스 그래서 아도 로가라는 시 택배직 반에 지겨 말이야 넘버 좀 봐 나도 미리 유뉴션 세상 와서 깔아야 되고 미시그리 미쳐가지고 그래. 그냥 나한테 이길라요 말이야. 나도 준다다. 그렇잖아. 벨기로.
Our next speaker is Alex Chow, one of the leaders of Hong Kong democracy movement and a leading voice for freedom and human rights. As a student leader of the 2014 Umbrella movement, he inspired millions. Today, he continued to advocate for the people of Hong Kong on the international stage, reminding the world the struggle for freedom knows no borders. Alex?
Our friends from Tibet, I will have to acknowledge that it is very difficult to come to this stage and to come up with any words to share with you. Because if it is a protest, we could rally to the Chinese embassy, we could change, we could see like a CCP down. But the context of this rally is just too heavy. With a dear Tibetan community member engaging in self-immolation, even I myself, I think it takes time to process. And I can't even imagine like what is the most appropriate word to show support, to walk alongside with our Tibetan friends. I think that's my biggest concern. I think like my presence today is not to like a rally for any action because I feel like I'm in no position to do that because like well each of you being here today, being present at a Times Square, waving a flag, chanting Lobga Rangzen's name is already exemplifying the spirit of our dear friend who want all of us to continue the fight until the day CCP is down, until the day Tibet is free. I remember the day when our dear friend engaged in self-immolation. I was actually technically about to schedule an interview to talk to one of the Tibetan community members, to ask them, to learn from them how the Tibetan community in exile can be that resilient, and in what way the Hong Kongers to learn from you, to learn how to build an institution, to recover from exile, to grieve, to process the sense of loss, to process our political violence, the political trauma, so we recover from being pushed out from our hometown, from being disconnected, being cut off from our family members, to being able to adapt to a new host country, unfamiliar with the culture, the language, system, the God! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Let's not give up until Tibet is free.
Thank you, Alex. Now we have Tibetan children from DC to honor our motto.
Washington DC ki ide kama gyasola nyema sokso suba
All right. A moment before, I realized personally with the group I came from Washington, D.C. in a charter bus. We all know how long it takes for us. You want to know how long it took us? About 5 hours. This is how Tibet problem is difficult. I have never experienced it in my life. This says a lot about the struggle that we are facing in this terrible life. We have to be extra strong, extra strong. Now, I own a few words before I introduce the young kids who will decide the beautiful names of the 160 or 70 who have given their life for Tibet. Starting with New Delhi, the first self-immolation. We all know, following a demonstration organized by Tibetan Youth Congress, also who became the first one who took his life. Then in a decade's time, things blew up in Tibet, starting with Tamila and onwards, how many people have given their life and also followed in India and Nepal, at least about a dozen. Luckily, some of them still alive. Some are even nowhere in Tibet, but majority have gone beyond our earth. By this time, it's almost 20 plus years, and many of them, I'm sure, they are born again in Tibet, nowhere but in Tibet. I'm sure they will continue this struggle for us. And today, as we remember our Losang Rangzen, Lobga Rangzen, don't get me surprised, I happen to be a close friend. I cried for him yesterday, knowing that I would be traveling here. I couldn't sleep for hours, and just as now, tears falling. Finally, this morning I wake up, my pillow is totally wet. So much for my feeling. I know this is in everybody's heart in Tibet and in and outside Tibet. And we are facing a new generation of young Tibetans who need to follow us. Our main purpose for being here is also to remember those who have already given their lives, about 170. We have a long list. And we have asked upcoming young from our Sunday school kids, because of time, we won't be going into details. They will simply say their name and read about 20, 30 names of those who passed away without giving any details because of time. But I must tell you, all those who died for Tibet as young as 17, and the oldest was 62. Can you imagine that? So, the Lobga Rangzen's self-immolation has spied up internationally. We all know that he's no longer with us, but we also know those about 169, 70, they are gone, they are already back. Some are there in their 20s. Of course, they don't know that. But Lobga Rangzen is still there. You know, our tradition for 49 days is not gone beyond despair. He is still in what we call the transition Tibet Pardo. He is living in a dream. And unlike those who all die, how can he sleep during these 47 days? He must be traveling, coming back here, hearing us. And when we don't respond, it's a knockout for him. Oh my God, I must be dead. Then he goes in dream. And I'm sure because of so much attention internationally and protest, I'm sure he has been flying all over the world because now he doesn't need a visa. And today he's waiting. He'll be with us until the 49th when we will have the final goodbye for him. So with this, I'll close my remarks. Thanks for your listening. And all these young people to read the names of all those who deceased for Tibet.
I'm a proud 14-year-old student from my Tibetan lockdown located in Vienna. Lobsang Kunso, Selong Lobu, Lobsang Kunso, Lobsang Kasang, Kasang Wongcho, Yang, Chopel, Lobu Dangdo, Dansen Wongmo, Dawa Tsering, Baoden Chutso, Wongza Dansen Kunso, Zhenyi, Suzhong, Sonam Wangyao, Lobsang Zhengyang, Lipa, Renzin Yoji, Sonam Rabyang, Dansen Chudun, Lobsang Gyatso, Dangzhu Sangpo, 能做心灵体、人情体、斗气、给背、正阳宝殿、六上修正、solemn target, Lobga Rangzen, Bhod Gyalo, Temple target.
Hi, my name is Tenzin Kunzong. I'd say Tulku Atup Sonam Chirpakyap Doji Tseden Targe Rikir Dintar Tenzin Kedu Nawang Norfer Iki Chunzun Sewang Doji Lobsang Lozen Lobsang Susan Dogatso Chirpa Dashi Lunto Lobsang Kesang Lobsang Tamchu Pasang Kamo Pyongjong Kujuk Sangye Gyatso Damdin Dorchi Kamo Gyap Tonduk Dorchi Rinchen Denzin Tsepo Kamo Tseten Tubang Gyap
是人因为人际方面，多之工作，才叫当定做，多之跳，多之三住，高尚进步，共不起灵，宁可到是宁察顾，人际中嘛，很不叫，差不多，三大起灵，往前挪步，起灵很多。 Lubum Seling, Damarin Kap, Damarin Durche, Sangye Joma, Puncho Seling, Kumpu Seling, Wangyel, Sangyel Tashi, Kalsang Kap, Wangden Kar, Seling Nangyel, Puncho Kap, Songdu Kap, Lopsang Gindu, Dema Dorche, Puncho Pilge, Pension Ki. Telling Dashi, telling pencil.
Dash the le, Yeming Pemayan. Kunchok Yap, Lopsong Namgyal, Dubakar, Namlat Sering, Rinchen, Sonam Target, Pagmo Tunduk, Sangdak, Sedung Kyap, Kunchok Wangmo, Lopsang Tokme, Gyalki, Kamo Kyap, Kunchok Somo, Kunchok Tenzin, Chukso, Kunchok Husser, Lopsang Dawa, Tenzin Sherap, Wangchen Dolma.
Naming Wang Chuki. Today I'm going to be reading you all the people who sacrificed their life to Tibetans. Kunchok Sonam, Sichung, Siringel, Kunchok Seden, Siltim, Gatso, Pagmo Samdu, Lopsang Dorji, Jigme Tenzin, Lopsang Falden, Doma, Sinli Namgel, Kunchok Kamotashi.
Naming a small house in me, I did it. Uji fellowship, the gypsy did the bully visiting the day, someone who the sitting, Shirap Sedro, Utu, Jabe, Shi, to Jet City, Karma, Woody, Tatsu, Dorset City, NZ Tria, Passing, Lobga Rangzen, Babado, the Chelsea, the Buddhist, the And then the above mentioned Tibetans who sacrificed, who self-immolated for Tibetans, have said the same slogan, long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Bhod Gyalo, Bhod Rangzen. So please raise these slogans after me. Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Bhod Gyalo,
Bhod Gyalo,
Bhod Rangzen,
Bhod Rangzen,
Bhod Rangzen,
Bhod Rangzen,
Bhod Rangzen,
Bhod Rangzen,
Bhod Rangzen.
Bhod Rangzen.
Kuchina.
I would like to request TLC Commissioner Valdivia to hand them a scarf. TLC Commissioner here.
Thank you, TLC Commissioner Waldivia, for your presence. We appreciate this.
In the Tibetan Lobga Rangzen and 170 Tibetans have self-immolated for Tibet's independence.
To present our official New York State Assembly citation in solemn honor of Lobga Rangzen and his ultimate sacrifice for Tibet, please welcome Assembly Stephen Roga representing District 30. Stephen Roga.
Happy to join our community here. Thank you so much for the Tibetan National Congress and New Yorkers who are coming here to make sure that never forget the sacrifice of martyr Lobga Rangzen, our neighbor here in New York. I am so proud as an assembly member in Western Queens to represent Woodside, Jackson Heights, Elmhurst, one of the largest Tibetan communities here in the state of New York. And in our community, we know that we must fight for a free Tibet.
Free Tibet!
Here in Queens and across our 5 boroughs, we know that human rights must be universal. We know that no matter where we live in this earth, that human rights are rights for everyone, and we cannot forget that. So we must not forget that just because of our martyr here and all the others who self-immolate, the 171, that everyone who has fought for not forgetting and fighting for Tibetan culture, Tibetan identity, Tibetan language will not just be not ever forgotten, but we lift up the torch and the fight, and we continue it here in New York, here in the city, the state of New York, and all over the world. So I am proud to always stand with you, not just in remembrance and commemoration, but we know that we must make sure we prioritize here in Times Square, here in New York City, here in the United States of America, that we know, our neighbors know, that we must have a free Tibet in our lifetime. So let's come together. I'm so proud to join you. Thank you, Tibetan National Congress, and long live our martyr, Lobga Rangzen. Thank you so much. Happy
Thank you so much, Assembly Member Stephen Roga. Our next speaker carries forward a deep family legacy for Tibetan freedom. Son of Dangse Rinpoche, and nephew of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and a dear friend of Paul Lobga Rangzen, and have walked many times for Tibet, Mr. Kunkanugula.
All right. Deshidele.
Deshidele.
My name is Kunga Norbu, and I'm the son of the late Dr. Rinpoche, the elder brother of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. As you may have heard, my father started the march for the Rangzen movement once he retired from his day job as a professor at EN University. Yet, he never allowed their differing political approach to divide them. They respected and trusted each other. They stood together unwavering in their commitment to Tibet. They shared a common vision to work for the happiness and well-being of the Tibetan people. The torch of this moment was passed on and carried forward by my late younger brother, Jigme Norbu. After his passing during the Rangzen March in 2011 in Florida, I joined my nephews, Jigmela's son, to carry on the legacy of the Rangzen March that same year. From the point on, I engaged in several other walks for the Rangzen movement. In 2013, I walked with Lobga Rangzen from Washington, D.C. to New York City, and we walked together on few other marches for Rangzen. I came to know my friend, Lobga, well during these walks, and we became friends. I was invited to his apartment in New York City, and we spent nights together talking. Through these personal connections, as usual, we engaged in conversation about Tibet in the Rangzen movement. Although I deeply admire his sacrifices for the Rangzen movement in Tibet, this time, it still breaks my heart badly. Without much emotional outburst, I'm here today to remember my dear friend, Lobga Rangzen, and his sacrifices. I'm also here today to honor this act of bravery, which certainly brings back memories of my late father's and my brother's determination for the Rangzen movement. Lobga Rangzen was my friend and my co-activist, and I will cherish the memories we created together. I will remember for years to come. In my mind, he was my hero, and he will remain a hero for Tibet and the whole movement. We'll remember his call to be reunited in the struggle for the Tibetan cause. We'll remember the over 170 Tibetans who have resorted to self-immolation for Tibet. We'll be advocates for our brothers and sisters in Tibet, as envisioned by His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and as reminded by my friend Lobga Rangzen with these words. I would like to draw your attention to the word of my late father, Dr. Rinpoche, Tupten Jigme Norbu. He said, from the start, from the last breath, never forget our country, Tibet. it was never part of China. Be proud of who you are. I am a Tibetan. Bhod Gyalo.
Bhod Gyalo.
Lobga Rangzen Gyalo.
Bhod Rangzen Gyalo.
Victory for Tibet.
Victory for Tibet.
Victory for Rangzen.
Victory for Rangzen.
Victory for unity for Tibet.
Victory for unity for Tibet.
And long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama. 어서 워싱턴 DC네. 레 샬레페 야군 남겨래.
정말 다시 되도. raptenjamsuzoyo aninda oka thoni jamna inji thoni jamna ta oka jamna jira aninga noma tapseru kochi shelo chiko kopje koso no tapseru kochi india nani ana Birmingham india na wat thomro thang bona sha ani chiko kopje konalo Washington DC ni new wat tapseru kochi shi komro na sha 아니 디질란 지금 놀고 공부지 아니 아니 아폴로라니 공부 용지 건강 놀고 다 먼저 들어 시 공부 말에 어디 갔길라니 또 직성도로 로가롱산도 놀고 건강 놀고 당어서 냠도 용이 되어도 모두 되지면서 워싱턴 DC에서 그 뉴욕에 시 공부 맞지 하고 말에 다 소대 그 모압시하면 뒤서 돌아래 아니 무슨 상황이 조카스는 독자 지들 아니 진양 빙냥 에빈라고 랑탄 존나래 아마 존나래 상황이 카자 폼라고 독자 지들이라고 카피 자자로 해서 그 인형 거리 있더니 뭐뭐 상황을 먹고 싶어요 아마도 모두 상황이 랑탄 지역에 요가 랑탄 가리 라비가 다가 농지 지주시가 맞다 뭔가 소문 제만 집시했나 또 다가 넣지 처음에 시기적으로 저는 그 양코를 일단에 수소가 리뷰하고 먹고 싶어요 소소이나 멍탄 때 랑탄 상황에 또 딱대로 뭐 지금 모주 단계는 그 소소가 맞다 소소 올팀이 또 랑탄 맞고 비었다 소소 남자 땀 보이 Bhod Gyalo
Bhod Gyalo
랑탄 gyalo
Rangzen Gyalo
랑탄 gyalo
Rangzen Gyalo
gyalo는 뭐지 그때 틀로 담가쇼
틀로 땜버쇼.
Next, I invite Ryan Forrest, Executive Director of ICT and a former U.S. State Department Senior Advisor on Tibetan issue.
Dashidelek. My name is Ryan Furesi. I'm the Executive Director of the International Campaign for Tibet. It's an honor to be here with all of you. Thank you. To the family members of Lobga, members and supporters of the Tibetan community, and all who have gathered here tonight, we come together in grief. On July 2nd, in front of the United Nations, Lobga Rangzen self-immolated and tragically passed shortly thereafter. He was a native of Kardza, a devoted monk, and above all, he was a son of Tibet. He came to the United States in 2006 and spent nearly 20 years engaged in selfless activism on behalf of his people, refusing to let the world look away from his homeland. Tonight we mourn him and we hold his family and all who love him in our hearts. While we grieve, we also cherish the call in Lobga's final message, where he said he did not want our mourning. He wanted us to redouble our effort, strengthen our unity, and raise our voices to the international community to proclaim that Tibet can no longer be ignored. His appeal has never been more urgent. One day before he died, the Chinese Communist Party's so-called ethnic unity and progress law came into effect, giving legal cover to what Beijing has pursued for decades, the systematic dismantling of Tibetan language, religion, and identity. Lobga understood what that means. It means every Tibetan who still speaks their language, teaches a child a prayer, holds a picture of His Holiness, engages in an act of resistance. He thanked Tibetans inside Tibet for exactly that, for their resilience and bravery despite the extraordinary risks. And he reminded Tibetans in exile and their supporters that we are their voice in places they cannot reach, like this one. That is why our activism cannot stop at our own movement. The Tibetan struggle is bound to the Uyghurs, the Hong Kongers, the Southern Mongolians, the Taiwanese, and to every person of conscience that refuses to accept that a government may erase a people. Broad coalitions are how movements persevere and how they win. We at the International Campaign for Tibet are more resolute than ever in our determination to build international support for Tibet and partner with all of you and Tibet supporters everywhere to ensure that Tibetan voices are heard at the highest levels around the world. But unity and effectiveness is not only a matter of numbers or coalitions, it's a matter of principles. His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, has shown us for decades what ours must be: nonviolence, compassion, and a commitment to helping others towards the betterment of our common humanity. These are not fleeting values. They are our North Star. They are also the source of our moral authority in every capital and every global institution, including the United Nations. So we ask the UN and its member states in explicit terms, condemn the Ethnic Unity and Progress Law and demand its repeal. Urge China to engage with His Holiness the Dalai Lama or his representatives in genuine dialogue. Hold Beijing accountable for its appalling repression and what it is doing to a people who simply want to practice their faith, speak their language, pass on the rich culture and traditions of Tibet to their children, and live their lives in freedom and dignity in their homeland. While Lobga is gone, his legacy of selfless activism is not, nor is our collective work for the Tibetan people. Let us take it up together with unity, with purpose, and with a resolute determination. It's the Dalai Lama!
Long live His Holiness the Dalai Lama!
Thank you.
For Uyghur people and the founder of executive director of the Campaign for Uyghurs, after the Chinese government disappeared her sister and her auntie in a retaliation for her advocacy. Rushan transformed her personal strategy into a global campaign for justice, exposing the atrocities being committed against the Uyghur people. She has become one of the strongest and most courageous voices comforting the Chinese Communist Party's campaign of repression. Please welcome her.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the organizers, and thank you for everyone showing up here today. I am deeply honored to stand
beside the Tibetan community as we remember Lobga Rangzen and the sacrifice he made to stand against the Chinese Communist Party's brutalities. He understood something many of the governments refused to acknowledge. When the world remains silent in the face of oppression, it's courageous individuals who bear the burden of defending the freedom. Lobga Rangzen's final act was a powerful plea to humanity to recognize and confront the Chinese Communist Party's systematic destruction. And only 5 days later, they disappeared, my own sister and my aunt, just to silence me. Beijing wants my silence. And I will not give that to them because the silence is the oxygen of the tyranny. I know that countless Tibetan families carry the same pain. The Chinese government hopes that time will erase those stories. It will not. Why? That's why this gathering like this matters. When Uyghurs and Tibetans come together, we send a strong message that Beijing cannot control us. Our unity is stronger than its propaganda. I have had the privilege of standing beside Tibetan leaders, advocates, and the survivors, and I am inspired by your resilience. Despite decades of occupation and repression, you have never abandoned your identity, your faith, and your hope. Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Freedom for the world! Freedom for the world! Defend the freedom! Defend the freedom! Thank you.
Our next speaker is a fearless leader in the global movement for Tibetan freedom, co-founder and director of Tibet Action Institute, and former executive director of SFT. Ms. Harula, please welcome Harula.
Lobga Rangzen was a beautiful person, kind, dedicated, totally determined. When I saw footage of his self-immolation posted online, I could not believe my eyes. Like so many of you, I felt so many emotions all at once: shock, horror, sadness, frustration, anger. For those who knew him best, who worked alongside him day after day, month after month in New York and beyond, I know these last weeks have been an overwhelming roller coaster of emotions. Our compatriots in the struggle are the ones who understand us best, both our motivation, our hope, our sadness, our deepest frustrations. Every time they take action and they show up, they give us the encouragement to keep showing up too. Lobga Rangzen was always taking action, always showing up. His absence will be felt by you most acutely. And to his friends, his family, and to the community here in New York City who knew him so well, on behalf of Tibet Action, me, my family, my husband, and my 3 boys are here. I offer my deepest condolences. It's hard for people, most people, to understand even a single act of self-immolation. It's nearly impossible to understand. More than 170 Tibetans have taken this most painful action. This is partly because the act itself is incomprehensible, but it's also because Tibetans most often move through this world in a way that belies the depth of the grief and pain we carry over China's genocidal rule in our homeland. For decades now, the vast majority of our people have gone to work, raised their kids, and lived their daily lives in exile with remarkable humor, positivity, love, friendship to their fellow citizens. But just beneath the surface, there lives a constant, terrible, heartbreaking anguish over China's decades-long assault on the Tibetan people, on our nation, on our language, on everything we hold dear and sacred, our religion, our culture, our precious teachers, our scriptures, our temples, our mountains, the grasslands. I know this anguish was especially profound for my Pala, for my father's generation, who knew life in a free Tibet before the Chinese occupation, who knew the truth of Tibet's independence because they lived it. They experienced it. Rangzen, self-sovereignty, firsthand, they lived it. And that was an existence where, for better or worse, Tibetans were in charge of their own lives, where parents decided what was best for their children and could teach them to do what parents everywhere do, to speak like them, to live like them, to worship like them. In Tibet today, Tibetan parents have even been stripped of this right. 3 out of every 4 school-aged children are in China's colonial boarding schools, residential boarding schools. This means an entire generation is being forcibly assimilated. Approximately 1 million Tibetan children. But what it doesn't mean is that Tibetan resistance will end. It doesn't mean that freedom or even Rangzen is impossible. For even if China were to succeed in cutting the mother tongue from Tibetan children and turning them against their own identity, that's a great reason to cheer.
Yes! Thank you! Thank you!
For those who can't see, people are cheering because one of Tibet's longest time supporters, dedicated true friend Richard Gere, is here with us.
리처게서 아니 네.
Even if China were to succeed in cutting the mother tongue from Tibetan children and turning them against their identity for a time, this next generation will ultimately find their way back to their true selves. Just as Tibetans who grew up during the Cultural Revolution did. Just as those who were sent to the inland boarding schools in China did. They may have to struggle to reclaim their identity, but that struggle will only make them stronger and more resilient. They may have to relearn the language and the teachings. They may not look or sound like what we consider traditional Tibetans to look or sound like, but what matters is that they are Tibetan. They're Pibas. They're people of the snowland. They're descendants of warriors who have survived for thousands upon thousands of years in one of the most extreme environments on this earth. The roots of the Tibetan people run deep into the bedrock of the plateau. They rise again into our sacred mountains, where our deities still reside and are continuing to protect us. I think they're calling us to fight for them, for the land, for the Tibetan people, and the Tibetan nation will outlast this horror of China's occupation. We will outlast the Chinese Communist Party's rule in Tibet. The only thing we have to do is fight, to never give up, never allow them to write our story. Only we do this. For more than 7 decades and against all odds, a relatively small population numbering approximately 7 million people, has stood against one of the most populous nations, most vicious and violent regimes this world has ever seen, and we're still standing. How? With sheer grit, total determination, deep faith, and true compassion. If we're determined to fight for our rights and freedom and for our language and for our right to be Buddhist and to worship the Dalai Lama when the time, whatever may come, they can't stop us. It's up to us. It's completely up to us. And Lobga Rangzen knew this. And when I think about how to honor his sacrifice, I find myself looking at the life he lived, his devotion to serving the nation and the cause of Tibetan independence, and to his final words, which told us to recommit ourselves to unity, to work harder to get along, to keep celebrating and practicing Tibetan culture, to continue to struggle for the liberation of our homeland. And now the greatest way we can honor his sacrifice is to answer the call. Take action every day, in whatever way you can. And also protect and care for every precious person in our movement. We need every Tibetan to keep living, to keep fighting alongside each other, no matter what comes. I believe Lobga Rangzen's final act was to wake us up to our own potential. It's both a tragic and extraordinary action, and it won't be in vain if it strengthens our resolve to live, to unite, to carry forward the work which he dedicated his life until Tibet is free and independent. Once again, free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Free Tibet!
Thank you, Ladala. Please welcome Annie Batu Toguho, a lifelong advocate for rights of Southern Mongolian people and the executive director of Southern Mongolian Human Rights Information Center. For decades, he has documented human rights abuses, led international efforts to defend
Yesterday, Sembechano, Sembeno. My name is Ingvar Torgen. I'm from Southern Mongolia. Southern Mongolia, always known as Inner Mongolia, is another occupied nation under the Chinese colonial regime. We gather here today with very heavy hearts to honor the life and sacrifice of our dear friend Lobga Rangzen. I had the privilege of knowing Lobga for many years. We stood together at a number of protests, demonstrations, conferences, and human rights events, raising our voices for Tibet, Southern Mongolia, East Turkestan, and all oppressed people. He is a man of unwavering courage, compassion, and conviction. Like many of you, I was deeply saddened by his decision to sacrifice his life in an effort to awaken the world's conscience to the suffering of the Tibetan people. His final act was one of profound violent resistance, a desperate call for humanity not to look away. For decades, Tibetans have appealed to the world for justice. Sadly, global leaders have failed to respond with meaningful action. But this does not mean the conscience of humanity is bankrupt. I believe that one day the world will fully awaken to confront the Chinese colonialism and authoritarian expansion, which threaten not only the Tibetans, but also Southern Mongolia, East Turkestan, Hong Kong, and freedom and human rights, democracy, human dignity everywhere. As a Southern Mongolian, I feel the pain of Tibetan people deeply because our people are enduring many of the same tragedies under nearly 8 decades of Chinese settler colonialism. Our language is being eliminated from education. Our culture is being erased. Our nomadic way of life has been fundamentally altered. Our grassland and environment have been devastated. Our national identity is under relentless assault. In Tibet, Tibetan culture and religion face severe repression, while political freedom and the right of self-determination remain denied. In East Turkestan, Uyghurs have endured mass detention, family separation, and pervasive repression. One of the greatest tragedies of our time is that political and economic interests too often prevent the international community from recognizing and confronting mass atrocities and genocide with the urgency they deserve. Too often, justice is delayed because governments place strategic interests above moral responsibility. But I have refused to lose hope. I believe that truth is stronger than propaganda. I believe justice is stronger than oppression. And I believe that one day Tibetans, Southern Mongolians, Uyghurs, and that all oppressed people will be free to determine their political future according to their own democratic will. May Lobga Rangzen rest in peace. Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Tibet! Free Southern Mongolia! Free Southern Mongolia! Free Southern Mongolia! Free Southern Mongolia! Free East Turkestan! Free East Turkestan! Free East Turkestan! Free East Turkestan! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Free Hong Kong! Thank you.
Now, next we welcome Bhod Gyalo, President of International Campaign for Tibet, to share her thoughts and pay respect to the sacrifice of Lobga Rangzen.
A month ago, Lobga Rangzen gave the ultimate sacrifice for Tibet, his precious life. Today, we all know Bhod Rangzen was a tireless advocate for Tibetan independence. And we remember him today. We also remember the message he left us. He called on Tibetans to stand in unity, to do what each of us can, in whatever way we can, for Tibet. That message feels even more urgent today. As we all know, the Chinese Communist Party has now put into law the systematic oppression that Tibetans have experienced for decades through the so-called genocidal ethnic unity and progress law. The CCP seeks to accelerate efforts to dismantle Tibetan identity by targeting our language, our culture, and the values that have sustained our people for generations. A people, a nation cannot survive if they are separated from their language, their history, and who they are. And the Chinese Communist Party knows this.
Tibetans inside Tibet have long felt the weight of this urgency and have sounded the alarm time and time again. In the past few decades alone, there have been over 170 Tibetans who have resorted to self-immolation in desperate protest, each seeking to draw the world's attention to Tibet and to galvanize global action. Our response, therefore, must be unity. We must strengthen our communities, protect our language, preserve our culture, and ensure that the next generation grows up knowing what it means to be Tibetan. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has always shown us the path forward with compassion, with non-violence, and with the belief that our shared humanity is stronger than oppression. Those principles must continue to guide us as we face the long task ahead. Today, the greatest way that we can honor Lobga Rangzen is not only by remembering his sacrifice, but by answering his call. I ask Tibetans everywhere to stand together, to stand united.
That's a great reason to cheer. For those who can't see, people are cheering because one of Tibet's longest time supporters, dedicated true friend Richard Gere, is here with us.
Accepted the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989, and I had the extraordinary good karma to be there with His Holiness when that happened and feel the seismic change of how people felt about Tibet through His Holiness, obviously. But this was the moment where things, I think, changed quite a bit. In Oslo, 1989, he didn't dedicate that award just to Tibetans. No, he dedicated it to every person struggling for freedom, for dignity, and for peace. Tonight we're here to honor an extraordinary Tibetan, Lobga Rangzen, in that same spirit of generosity, but speaking truth to power. And not being passive, acting. Now, as controversial as it might be within Buddhist theology, a self-immolation, one cannot question the sincerity and the complete commitment of this extraordinary man to his beliefs. We need to do the same thing, all of us, in our own way. We don't have to self-immolate, but we can call our congressman, we can talk to our neighbors, we can speak out with generosity, with purpose, but we need to act. Now we're going to honor him tonight as we will have. I've been seeing so many speeches about him, and I'm so moved by the people who knew him and respected him. And I was really taken by something that was said over and over again that I want to say tonight. That we honor him by carrying forward the message he asked the world never to forget. Napo Ya Yin. 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 I am a Tibetan. I am a Tibetan. I am a Tibetan. Thank you. And a live experiment in the possibilities of the human mind and the human heart. These are not relics of the past. They're living traditions that survive only if someone is free to pass them on. And that's why China's very oddly named ethnic unity law, which in fact does just the opposite, presents such an existential risk. It threatens the very conditions that allow Tibetan language, culture, and identity to survive. When a civilization loses the freedom to teach its own children, humanity loses something it can never, ever replace. And that is the price of forced assimilation. With every civilization that disappears, we lose a different way of solving problems, of making meaning, of creating beauty, of new ways that we can live together, create a world community which is based on a mutual survival and joy and happiness and love. And it's not only about the rights of Tibetans, obviously, but Uyghurs. We have wonderful Uyghurs here. We have Mongolians, we have Hong Kongers. We're all in this together. And this is about whether we believe every civilization, that means every civilization deserves the right to exist, to endure, and to thrive. His Holiness often says, and very famously so, that his religion is kindness. And we all feel that immediately. But he's not talking about temples or doctrine, but really that warm human heart of kindness. And when you look at the people who learned from him that deep essence of kindness, not the superficial sense, but that deep sense that we're all in this together and we all deserve love and compassion and kindness and joy. When you look at everyone who has learned from him and carried that lesson across the Himalayas into refugee communities, across continents, all the way here to this bizarre place in Times Square right now, you realize that those words were never meant to be just admired. They were meant to be lived deeply inside of us. Because real kindness is not passive. It's not soft. No. Real kindness is standing beside those punished for speaking their language, or speaking their faith, or speaking their truth. Real kindness means refusing to accept that nearly 1 million Tibetan, because we're in Congress quite a bit, talking to congressmen and senators, and they're very open to this, believe me. Very rarely have we been in an office that we feel like we're not welcome or they don't understand the Tibetan situation. But they also want to hear from their constituents. So
we're asking you to record a short video asking your members of Congress to co-sponsor the Assuring the Future of Tibet Act and call for the repeal of China's so-called ethnic unity law. So you record a video asking your member of Congress to co-sponsor Assuring the Future of Tibet Act and call for a repeal of China's so-called ethnic unity law.
Okay, look, if you don't know who your congressperson is, contact us and we'll tell you. We'll make it really easy for all of you to do that, but it's really important. They always tell us, well, if we hear from our constituents, of course we'll act. Well, this is your moment. This is your moment to act. So if we can help you with that process, please get a hold of us and we will.
먼저 DC 미망는저 로얄에도 네 방지된 거저 DC 미망소 회기 다 먼저 사서 다 로얄 이 버스 딱다 대 구슈샤 네 왕주 go first 다 먼저 로얄에도 행게 빼야고 중소 다 로얄에 미망소 방지는 회기 다 먼저 대 유튜버 깨라서 DC기 깨상 라체 네 다 먼저 로얄에 파디실라 네 다 먼저 사스타 미구데 네 다 먼저 로얄인도